Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're looking at Pamela Jane Page. She's been missing since 1989 from Peoria, Arizona. She's 32 years old, 5'8", 200 pounds, a gold necklace, and a three-tone gold ring with 3 to 5 diamonds embedded in the setting. Red hair, hazel eyes. She has a scar under her chin. She has 2 moles on the front of her neck and a mole near her nose. Her ears were pierced. She has had a tonsillectomy and her adenoids had also been removed. She wore eyeglasses. Her maiden name was Frisbee and her nickname is Pam. She was last seen at approximately 8:30 p.m. July 20th, 1989 by an employee of Fast Forward Video, a store she and her husband owned. At Peoria and 67th Avenues in Glendale, Arizona. The employee told authorities that Page behaved normally at the time and talked about future plans to open another store. Robert claimed that Pam was sick the following morning, July 21st, and would not be reporting to work. So, she's dead. Next day, she's dead. He then told employees he had to run errands and return later in the day. Oh, yeah, so it sounds like she's dead already. And it sounds like he's got to go get rid of the body and clean up and everything. So that was 8:30. So I don't know what time that was. That might have been 10 or something. I don't know. I don't know if he then. Okay, I don't know if he told them over the phone or went in. So he arrived at their store again. So they must have went to the store sometime after 4 p.m. He handed a 2-page letter to one of the workers that was supposedly written by Pamela. I don't think so. The note stated that she and her husband had marital problems, and Paige had left the area with a friend named Sarah who supposedly frequented their store. Yeah, not believable. The letter also stated that Pamela took $8,000 in cash with her and would not be returning. According to the letter, Pamela parked her yellow 1981 Corvette in a donut shop parking lot in Phoenix, Arizona. Robert located the vehicle there sometime later, but there was no sign of his wife. She has not been heard from again. Robert claimed that she disappeared from their home between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. on July 21st while he was away on his errands. Pamela's employees, friends, and family were shocked by the developments. Many argued that it was against Pamela's nature to write, so, oh yeah, they know. Several relatives also told authorities that she would not have taken significant amounts of money from their account on a whim or carry such a large amount of cash on her. One of her dogs, a Dachshund named Rerun, disappeared with her and has never been located. Pamela's other Dachshund was left behind. Her loved ones stated they didn't believe she would have separated the animals. Robert did not report his wife as a missing person. He told Pamela's relatives the police refused to accept a report because she had left him voluntarily. Her family drove to Arizona to file a report themselves and found out that Robert had never gone to the police at all. So he lied. There's proof that he lies. Proof that he lies. So if he lies about that, you can't believe him about anything else. So all of the rest of it, I don't believe any of it. So the Peoria residence owned by the couple was searched and Pamela's identification and jewelry was found inside. Oh yeah, so she's left, but she didn't take her jewelry or her identification. When questioned by authorities, Robert later admitted he wrote and signed Pamela's goodbye note. He also stated he drove her Corvette to the Phoenix parking lot and took a taxi back to their home because he knew he was going to get caught doing that. Wow. Investigators have been unable to identify the mysterious friend Sarah, because there is no mysterious friend Sarah. Pamela's family had never heard anything about a person named Sarah prior to Pamela's disappearance, and there's speculation that Sarah may not even exist unless it's somebody that he's seeing. After Pamela's disappearance, Robert declared bankruptcy for her video store. Her video store. Pamela's family said the store was doing well financially and about to expand, and there was no need to file for bankruptcy. Robert also sold Pamela's car. Investigators discovered that the sale arrangements had been made prior to Pamela's disappearance. It is unknown if she knew about this. So he made arrangements to sell her car, and then he killed her. That's premeditated. Robert filed for divorce just weeks after Pamela's disappearance and stated she had left him voluntarily and taken $60,000 in savings. What did he do with the $60,000? What did he do with the $60,000? So he goes to sell her car before she disappears. Bam, she's gone. There's $60,000 missing. Where did it go? He hired a private investigator to locate her? Whatever. A witness claimed that he possibly spotted Pamela walking near her video store on 67th in Glendale on July 24th, 3 days after she apparently disappeared. The sighting is unconfirmed. Yeah, wonder if that's a woman he's seeing, that Sarah woman. Robert continued, I'm just going way out and just, yeah, I think he killed her. Robert continued to live in the home he shared with Pamela until his death from cancer in 2009. So he got the house, he got everything. He sold her car, planned on selling her car before she was dead. He was never charged. That's a bummer. Wow. That's crazy. So Reddit, what does Reddit say? If you're a fan of Unsolved Mysteries, you may remember this case being featured on one of the early seasons. I don't know what the season, Unsolved Mysteries. I became fascinated with the case after watching the episode as a child and being local to Peoria. I immediately recognized the home featured in the show as a unique-looking home I often see while driving off of 67th just north of Thunderbird. Pamela Page lived with her husband Rob Page in Peoria, Arizona. In 1989, they owned and operated a video store called Fast Forward Video on the corner of 67th and Peoria. Pamela is described as a white female, height 5'8", and weighing 200 pounds. She was 32 at the time of her disappearance with brown eyes and red hair. Shortly before her disappearance, she had visited her family alone on July 7th in Arkansas, where she reported to her family that everything was fine. July 7th. Ooh, they were having problems maybe. On July 21st, Rob awoke in the middle of the night to find Pamela was no longer in bed with him. Upon searching the house, he found her on the couch looking at old family photos while crying. Pamela tells him that her back is hurting and she would prefer to sleep on the couch that evening. Later, the next morning, Pamela mentions she isn't feeling well and Rob agrees that he will open the video store for her. He claims he had car trouble before getting to the video store. Car trouble. I'm running late because I have car trouble. Killed his wife. What's wrong with you? Goes to sell her car before he kills her because he's not going to need her car anymore. When Rob returns home in the afternoon, he finds the house empty with a letter from Pamela left for him. In the letter, it states she is leaving him and running off with a woman named Sarah. He doesn't inform anyone in Pamela's absence, claiming that he felt embarrassed she had left him for a woman. 4 days later, Pam's sister calls the home, searching for Pam. This is when Rob informs her that Pam is missing and reads her and her family the letter. In the letter, he says she took $60,000 of their money with her and that she parked her Corvette at a local donut shop. He finds that the money from the safe is missing and that her car is parked where the letter stated. He claims that he had filed a missing persons report on Pam, but when Pam's brother called the station, they learned that isn't true. On the day that Pam goes missing, Rob says that he left for work, his car stalled. He claims that he went to the auto parts store, but no one there remembers having seen him, nor was his truck parked there for hours, which Rob also claimed. Police decide to dig into the Sarah lead with no success. Rob tells police that Pam met Sarah through the video store, but the police find that there was no customer with a name that personally knew Pam. After this, the police focus on the signature of the letter. The entirety of the letter was typed, she's going to type a letter with only the signature having been written. Police compared the signature to Pam's and found it had been forged. Once confronted by the police about this fact, Rob tells them that he, in fact, signed the letter himself. This is when Rob tells a different story. He says that he found the letter 1 week beforehand. She found the letter 1 week beforehand. Or he found the letter 1 week before, half typed on the computer, and that he confronted Pam about it. See, that's a typo, but I bet it's a typo for a reason, because subconsciously they probably didn't realize that maybe the other person is the one that found the letter, and he didn't find the letter, but she did. And instead of him confronting Pam about it, she confronted him, and so she tells him that he wrote it while she was angry. See, they're subconsciously, they've got it right about you. On that day of her disappearance, Rob comes home from the video store and finds that the house is in disarray, with Pam and the family dog missing. This is when he said that he decided to add 4 final lines to the letter, print it out, and sign it. He then drove her car to the donut shop and rode a taxi home. Wow, he claims that he did these things because he did not feel that anyone would believe him about Pam leaving him. Well, because he's lying. Police offer for him to take a polygraph test, and he's like, oh no, I'm not taking a polygraph test. No way. Because then they'd be able to find out all kinds of information, and they'd have proof he lied. And so, yeah. And that's, people get married, and they, you marry somebody, and for example, you might marry a man, and he might go telling other women, oh, you're so hot, or offering to build them things and make them things and do nice things for them, and tell him, if you guys buy things together, like if you open a video store, that he owns a video store and he has things, trying to get you to do things with him. And then he feels like, to try to sort it out in his mind and not feel guilty, he feels like he loves you. And it's like the Bible says, man cannot serve 2 masters. But it's kind of like that when somebody cheats. A lot of times it feels like they start hating the wife and loving the mistress, because they're trying to they can't, otherwise they can't deal with the guilt, so they have to make it in their mind, like they have to blame it on the other person because they can't handle the responsibility. So then, they'll feel guilty. They might start yelling or screaming or being, some of them are abusive and things like that because they can't deal with the guilt. But that's, and I'm not specifying, I shouldn't specify a man, but, anybody, you might, like a woman might go to somebody else's house, and clean up and do nice things for them and then not do it at home because, they say, you've heard that thing about the grass, the grass is greener in the other lawn because they're going over there and they're watering the grass. Oh, you're so hot, and oh, you're so attractive, and let me do this for you. But meanwhile, their lawn's just fading away, and they're not, they're not being nice, and they're being mean, and maybe they don't even realize they're being mean, and they're trying to blame the other person, and they're not kind, and there's no love, there's no affection, there's no caring, there's only saying mean things, and not helping around the house or doing nice things, but instead trying to find everything that they can find, to look at everything that's bad about you and try to look at all the bad things that they can find and not looking at the positive. So instead of lifting you up and like taking care of their own lawn and lifting you up and telling you you're beautiful, they're unkind to you. So if it's a man and it's a woman, then they don't realize that other men are like telling their wife, oh, you're beautiful, and oh, I like you, and I think you're so beautiful, and I would never treat you that way, and you deserve so much better. But meanwhile, they're trying to reason and excuse all the times they've cheated and all the things that they've done. And it's like, well, they can't love both of you because maybe they're not, some people aren't able to do that. And some people aren't able to deal with the blame and the fault themselves of what they're doing is wrong. And so they're always, maybe they're talking bad about you behind your back with somebody else and their friends and trying to make you look like you're the bad person, or whatever they do. And I guess, and you're married, you've got a video store, and maybe they, you get divorced, you lose things, maybe they'd have to sell the video store and split the money. If there's money in the safe, where did the money go? And maybe he didn't want to have to lose it or split it or whatever. Who knows what happened? Who knows? Maybe it was just, maybe she found the money and the safe was gone, and maybe, but it sounds premeditated. It sounds premeditated, but you have to take care of your own marriage and love them and treat them, because I don't know. You know how people are. That's a normal person would never do this. Never. So making up this letter and everything, that's really sad. So let's read on. I'm just rambling on and on and on and on. But, you know. And I know people have been burned by women too, and wives and stuff. So it's just sometimes that's how people are. But this is really extreme, to kill somebody. But a lot of times you hear that a woman goes and files for a divorce, and then poof, she's missing. Nobody ever hears from her again. So, or they hitch a ride and you never hear from them again. But a psychic was called in to assist by the family, and the psychic mentioned seeing a vision of Rob killing Pam and being assisted by an unknown woman to move her body. She claims to see the words Coolidge and the numbers 241. She also saw a gray factory and a train track in her vision. Side note, I personally went out around the train tracks to see if I could find an old gray building, but I know a lot has changed in the last 33 years. A reporter at the time decided to follow these leads and found a very similar location to the place in the psychic's vision, but police were not willing to look into it further. Rob passed away in 2008. In 2017, the family of Pam received a letter from Maricopa County saying that if Rob was still alive, they feel they have enough to have been able to charge him. Sadly, that justice came too late for Pam and her family. Every time I pass the corner of 67th Avenue in Peoria, I think about Pam and wonder which section of the corner her video store was on. She was 32 when she put 32 years old, and they said their 32nd second birthday was around the corner, so they thought now would be a proper time, and they did a write-up. So sadly, she may never be found, but her memory can still live on through us discussing and acknowledging her case. So, and then they said, where's Pam Page's body? And did Rob have help? And was the psychic on to anything? So the reporter found a similar location to what was described, and then they give you links to go to. And this is on Reddit. And says the husband's story is just awful. It's beyond baffling that someone could concoct a story so poor. It sounds like a child made up the logistics, and not getting charged. Justice really failed this woman. And this one says he was probably engaged in what he claims she said about forming he probably had already formed another relationship. He didn't want to lose everything. He's telling this woman, I've got this and I've got that. You don't want to lose it all, right? So very sad and frustrating, especially learning he passed away before he could be charged. Her poor family deserves to at least bring her home to rest in peace. I actually remember this episode now that I read this write-up. Thanks for getting her name and story out there again. She deserves to be remembered. And this one said, I wonder what changed between 2008 and 2017 that made them say they'd charge him if they were alive, if he were alive. But the write-up, it's hard to tell if they had any new evidence. Well, and this one talks about the signature, and you can pause it to read it. So it said Rob, he lied about everything, including filing the missing persons report. People have been charged for less. That's plenty of evidence, I think. So the husband thought that editing his wife's letter after she'd told him she'd leave him would be deemed as a normal reaction. No. And this one says, it was the dog for me. The missing dog tried to protect her while he was attacking her, and he killed them both. And somebody said, I was wondering why he only killed one of the dogs. That makes perfect sense. And it does. It does. That dog probably loved her and tried to protect her. So it's beyond that the husband wasn't charged, and this talks about down here how the husband wasn't charged, and it's really sad that nobody charged him. And this one talks about the psychic, and then you go down and it says, I don't know about the other questions. Was the psychic on to anything? Really? Is this real and honest questions? Okay, yeah, we'll skip that. And let's see, it says, oh, Coolidge could be a school because there's lots of schools named for dead presidents. Older schools. Oh, who knows? Maybe there was a building with something that was once called Coolidge or something. And this said, I was reading a book by John Douglas, who basically invented FBI profiling, and he said that psychics are often just good profilers. They shouldn't be taken as 100% accurate, but sometimes they have correct details. So, yeah, and then down here it says there are psychics who work closely with police who have legitimately helped solve cases. Plus, the reporter found a similar location to the one the psychic described, and the psychic was in Miami. So they said they wouldn't wholeheartedly discount it, but I certainly wouldn't bet any money on it either, because you just don't know, because, you know. Anyway, so what are your thoughts on this? Please feel free to leave comments. Do you remember anything? Do you know anything about this? Anyway, thank you so much for tuning into my channel. Please don't forget to pray for their loved ones and the families and everybody that was hurt and that was involved and has suffered. Thank you so much for tuning in to my channel. Have a great day. Bye-bye.